Hi guys, welcome back to the Scrap Zone. I'm Julie, and in this video, I'm going to share with you my pumpkin spice workshop. We're going to use this beautiful collection. It comes with these great stickers, and it also comes with these pretty unique wood stickers, and we'll talk about those in a minute, but they are fabulous. Now let's dive right in. We're going to start with layout number 1, and here I'm showing you that when you have a line piece of pattern paper, depending on which orientation you put it on, you'll see more of the pattern or less of it. This is the completed left side of layout number 1. I forgot to turn the camera on, sorry guys, but I'm showing you here this really great title that's right across the front of the page, and let's put the right side together so you can see how it all happened. So we're going to use the pattern paper as our base. I'm going to add this one right here at 2.5 inches from the bottom. I'm using my Versamat here just because it's so easy, you don't have to measure anything. Now let me show you how I added all of these beautiful leaves and pumpkins. The first thing you want to do is add your photos or your photo mats so that you know exactly where to layer those pumpkins on the right side. So I'm just going to pop those on very quickly here, and I'm just leaving like 1/4 inch between the two photos and top and bottom. So we're going to start layering these great pieces. These are all Cricut pieces. They've all been done in Cricut Design Space, and you can have access to the file down in the description box down below. You just have to make sure that you own all of the images used. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to cut the project. I know it's frustrating, but some of these images are unique to Close to My Heart. They're actually exclusive, and they are only available through my affiliate link. So just make sure you own all of the cartridges listed in the description box down below. So I did go ahead here and I layered all the pumpkins and all of the leaves. I added a few stickers, and I'm going to play with these wood stickers. Now this one here is actually kind of big, and I tried to pull the backing off and I really felt like I was going to break it. It's actual wood, so if you pull on the backing and you're not going in the same direction of the grain in the wood that is, you can break these. So you have to be very careful when you lay them down. Here's the completion of page number 1 or layout number 1. I did add a little bit of stickles on that, and I think it turned out really nicely. Now this layout here, again, it was all done in Cricut Design Space, and I wanted to jazz up the base pages. So here I'm using cocoa ink or chocolate ink. It's an old color. I didn't have the Mocha reinker, so I decided this was close enough for the background, and it actually matches all of the colors. So I showed you here that when I do the ink splatters, if you tap directly on your brush, you'll get bigger splatters. And then if you use a pen, here I'm using my X-Acto knife and I'm tapping with it, and the splatters are much smaller. So if you don't like big splatters, make sure you use a smaller brush. The smaller the brush, the smaller the splatter, and it actually turns out really, really nicely. Now let's get back to this layout. All of these pennants have been cut in Design Space. They're all the same length, so you decide how long or how short you want to put them on your page. I did play up the double-sided color of the cardstock, so that was really great. So you'll see that I start with the dark side and then I flip over to the light side. The way that the colors are placed on the background right here, they were placed strategically to highlight these pieces right here. Now these pieces are all the same colors, so I wanted to make sure that they didn't get lost in the background, so that's why you've got a more neutral background directly in back of all of those leaves. Now I'm going to flip my Versamat over and I'm going to sand distress all of the pennants. Again, I wanted them to be more of a background look. So when you're assembling this page, you're going to make sure that the first two pennants, the lighter ones, are flush with the edge of the page, and then you've got about 1/4 of an inch between each pennant and the last ones on the outer sides. There's actually 1/4 of an inch there as well. Now here I'm putting together the right side. I'm adding just a little bit of pattern paper here, and I'm going to show you how to do the cluster, and then we'll go back to the left page and I will show you how to put down those pennants. Now these leaves, I like to shape them a tiny little bit, and I use a little bit of ink on them, and I use my bone folder and I just kind of curl them up. So I'm kind of showing you here the process on how to layer them and in the order that I kind of did it. Now, you might do this completely differently, but it's just to give you a rough idea. So I started with the largest leaf, and then I tucked that little one underneath, that mocha colored one. Here I'm shaping this smaller leaf, and I'm going to tuck it in. So there's kind of like a center tuck point if you want. I'm going to add this really nice wood sticker underneath. So this is what I mean with these stickers. They are wood, and there's a wood grain. So in the direction of the wood grain, if you take, I find that the piercing tool here is really, really good when you're using these little stickers. So I'm gently pulling back on that backing, and it is really, really sticky, guys. Like, I don't think I've ever seen stickers that were so sticky, but I guess they had to do that because they were wood. So using the little piercing tool to tuck things underneath really helped quite a bit. And once it's down, it's not moving at all. So anyways, let's go back to putting this cluster together. So here I'm adding the little fern leaf, and I am shaping that as well using my bone folder and just so ever lightly pulling back on those leaves. And if these pieces are too long, you can just snip some of them off, like a couple of little pieces, and see how it fits so much better now. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue just at the end. I kind of like to leave the ends with no glue, so it kind of gives a little bit more movement and dimension. I'm going to add this last one here, and again, it's kind of too long, so I'm going to snip that just a tiny little bit and just take the bottom off. And then when I tuck it underneath, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the end of it so that I don't have glue on my photo or on my photo mat. I kind of like that better. It's not hanging on the picture too much. So we're going to finish off those little acorns, and I am doing quite a bit of distressing on them on the top and on the bottom. So those two little guys are going to kind of go together at that tuck point where all of those leaves are joining in the center. That's where I'm going to put them. Just like that. So it kind of hides everything. I'm going to add a little sticker here, and there's tons of tiny little stickers on this sheet, and you can form lots of beautiful clusters. So that's how I build my clusters and add like little ones and a little bit larger ones. So let's get back to how to put down these pennants. So again, bring your two pages together. You're going to start in the center of the layout, and you're going to tack this one down. Like, if you see the way that they've been placed on the page, I actually added a tiny little bit of glue just at the top of the pennant. So that way, when you're moving them across the page to make sure that they're equal distance between them, it's much easier to move them around. So I did glue down the first one, but the next step is to put your title. So here I'm matching the top of the word memory with the top of the word autumn. And this piece actually comes in two pieces. So I'm going to line those up, and see here, I'm just going to untack the top and move them up ever so slightly so that I have room for my title. Now, if you were to glue those down all the way, it would most likely rip that page. So that's why just adding a little bit of glue at the top, and it's just double-sided glue, it really made this a lot easier. So I'm going to kind of tack them down. And basically what I did here is that once I was happy with the placement of each of them, I just lifted them all and added glue all the way down each pennant. Now, this layout is actually redone from the pumpkin spice kit. And if you don't want to mess with all of these Cricut pieces, there's a wonderful kit that's been put together, but at the time that I was making these, it wasn't available, so I decided to reimagine it with Cricut, and I really like the way that it turned out. So here I'm showing you again that the combination of colors were chosen so that it's more neutral at the back, so that the leaves can pop off the page. And I also decided at this point that I wanted to add splatter to them. So I strategically put paper all around my layout and added splatters just to those little clusters. Now I would highly recommend doing this step before putting everything down, but I really wanted to add splatters. And see here how pretty that looks. I was happy that it all worked out. So for layout number 3, again, all done in Cricut, and even the mats, everything is there. The photo mats, this overlay, and all of the pieces that go on the back side. So we're going to paper piece this together in a minute, but since I'm using this plain mink cardstock base, I thought, let's jazz it up a little bit. Let's give it a little bit of character. So I'm going to bring in my all-purpose mat, and I'm going to use espresso ink this time, and we're going to do a little ink smooshing on this background, and you'll see at the end that it really makes a difference. So I'm adding quite a bit of ink, and then I'm going to add quite a bit of water. To be honest with you, it was maybe a bit too much water, but lots of water. And then I'm deciding, where do I want those smushing patterns? So at the top and at the bottom. This is just a plastic bag that I've cut down. And when I was picking up the color, I want to show you here, like it kind of made a line, and I thought, oh, that's not going to work. And I just pushed it through the plastic bag here, and it looked really nice. So when you first start doing this, you're kind of going, where is she going with this? There's so many splatters. It kind of looks like a hot mess. Trust me, it looks really nice at the end. So see, when you bring back that overlay on top, you've got some movement happening in back of that layout or that base page. So I decided to add, why not, a little bit of gold splatters, and that's what brings everything together, from the brown smushing to the mink cardstock. It looks really good. When you add your overlay, you just have this really nice backdrop for this overlay. And I'm going to add a little bit of ink distressing here on the edges, and then I'm going to set it to the side and dry, and then I'm going to piece all of those little cardstock in the back of this overlay. So I'm not going to show you all of that process because I'm sure you have better things to do than sticking around with me all day. But I just want to show you that you just use regular glue. You just kind of follow the edges and you just pop those little pieces right in the back. So less is more. You don't want that glue to ooze out on the other side of your page. And then when you flip that over, it's very impressive. And it's one overlay. I think it looks really good. Now I thought, okay, why not step it up one more level and add double-sided tape to the entire piece. And that dimension lifting off the background looks great. So I'm just going to pop that on my page right here. And then I'm going to add, why not, one more little sticker. Now you could add more if you want, but I felt that this was just the right touch at the bottom of the page. I'm going to use my anti-static pouch just to remove some of the stickiness, because I do want to add this sticker with 3D foam tape. And I find that if you don't unsticky the sticker, it kind of sticks to your page once you put it inside your album. So that's a good tip for you. And see, one cut out of Cricut and just a little bit of ink smushing, a little bit of gold splatter. This is a great layout, and it really didn't take all that much time to put together. So what else can you do with those leftovers? Well, cards, of course. Now I want to show you, I did use this new glue pen, and it's actually really good. So I'm going to show you, this is the same thing I used for the layout number 1. And I'm kind of showing you here that this is Harbor cardstock. And when you use the mirror image in Cricut, when you cut them, you don't see the white core. Usually I would ink distress everything, but I find that if you use that mirror image function, it really, and you take the good side, so in this case, the dark side of the cardstock, you put it down onto your mat. When you cut it, you really don't see the white core. So good tip for you, and less inking that needs to happen. So you saw how I kind of pieced those two pieces together with that glue pen, and it works really nice, but I found that you kind of needed to put a block on it to kind of let it dry. And those middle pieces, I just use regular glue and I pop those in. So a win for this glue pen. I think that it's a good addition to my scrapbooking room. Now, I remember I told you I used the Harbor cardstock, but I didn't have the re-inker. So I thought, okay, charcoal is close enough, and I guess I must have been in a splatter kind of mood for this layout, or this workshop I should say. So I decided to add again some splatters. So with my hand, when I tap, the splatters are a little bit bigger, and then when you use an X-Acto knife here, which I'm using just the handle of it, and I tap, it's much finer. So when you look at it in the finish close-up, you'll see what I mean. So this particular slimline card is done using an embossing folder. It is called Flower Garden. Now it's no longer available, but if you have anything that has leaves in it or something like that, it looks really nice for this particular card. So the hello was covered with liquid glass, and the hello was the reason why I decided to make cards, because it was the negative part of layout number 1 in that pennant piece, if you remember. So kind of thought, okay, let's do a couple of cards because we're going to need them. Here I'm showing you that I wanted to do splatters on this second card, but if you do the splatters on the card directly, it's going to go through and it probably wouldn't look really nice on the inside. So I just used a separate piece of cardstock. I did my splatter. I'm going to add a little bit of ink here, and I'm going to pop that right on the card front. And we're going to use all these leftover stickers. Now you're probably thinking, that's a lot of stickers on one card. But to be honest with you, these would have probably ended up in a bin somewhere and they would not have been used. This way, yes, I am using a lot of stickers, but I can send out a card to someone and I'm not going to clutter my scrapbooking room with one sheet of multiple stickers. So if you have other plans for your stickers, you probably don't want to make this card, but I thought it was a good use of tiny little stickers, using them in a cluster. I'm going to add here a few of those wood stickers as well. And here I'm showing you again, when you peel back on those, like that backing is really, really sticky. Use a pokey tool or piercing tool, and it just makes it a lot easier for you to position where you want to put this down. So you can see that I'm kind of placing them down together, and then I'm just turning my pokey tool, sorry, that's what I call it, my pokey tool. I just turn it, kind of wiggle it out, and I didn't break any of my stickers. Again, they are real wood, so be careful with them. I'm going to show you one more time here. I'm going to peel that off, and it is super, super sticky. So wherever you put it down, that's where it's got to live, because if you try and lift it, it is definitely going to break. I'm going to add the little sweater sticker, and then I'm going to try and tuck it. I'm not sure. And bring this down a tiny little bit. There you go. Just like that, we're going to be happy. I'm going to take my little coffee cup here. I'm going to unsticky it so that I can pop it on a pop dot. And There's a lot of stickers going on, but I still think it's a really cute card. So I'm going to finish it off here with a couple of more. I'm telling you, there's so many tiny little stickers on that sheet. You're going to have fun with it because the possibilities are endless. Going to add here a little bow. So I just created a little bow with hemp. I'm going to pop that right here at the top just to add a little bit of interest. And then I'm going to add a little strand right here at the bottom. And I'm using micro dots, and I'm literally just pushing the hemp right into the micro dot, and you don't see it at all. You'll see when I show you the close-up that it really works nicely. So here I'm just going to separate out the strands just to give it a little bit more of a rustic look. And add one more little heart, and this card is done. So you can see all of the beautiful stickers, the little sentiment sticker, and even was able to sneak some right here on the inside. And I'm showing you the hemp that was pushed into the micro dots, and you don't even see it. Now this card here is probably my favorite card, and of course once again the camera wasn't on. I was having an issue with this workshop, I'm telling you. So I decided to fussy cut a row of those trees and just add them to this piece right here, which is done in Cricut Design Space, and finish it off on the inside with a couple of little gorges. And I love the way that this card turned out. So I'd say this is an efficient way of using your scraps. What do you think? As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you like this workshop, and I will post a couple of videos for you here that I think you might just like. If you haven't subscribed, click that little subscribe button and come back and see more helpful crafty videos. Have yourself a fantastic day.